I've lost many of my friends in the past, not because I was incompetent, but because I stayed silent. Losing them when I needed them the most made me question myself as a leader. In most organizations, problems don't explode. They rot quietly. Missed deadlines, standards in free fall. Everyone notices, but not a soul says a word. Hello everyone, I'm Fendy Octavianto, and I'm someone who has learned leadership the hard way. That silence followed me into college, and it was tested the moment I stepped into my student body. When I joined them, I felt like I finally belonged to a group of people who wanted to achieve the same things together. But not long after the honeymoon period came to an end, did I start finding cracks. Meetings were skipped just to hang out with friends. Conflicts left unresolved due to personal feelings. I stayed silent, just like I used to do when I was young. But normalizing behaviors like this is just as bad as the problems themselves. That's when I realized that the most important quality in a leader is the example he can set to his team. Courageous communication and disciplining an organization is exactly the kind of tough love we all need, even if it costs us pain in the beginning. In most organizations, especially in Indonesia, leadership doesn't fail because of cruelty, but because their leaders lack the courage to practice tough love. Tough love meant walking into meetings on time, calling out missed deadlines, and enforcing standards, even when it made the room uncomfortable. I had to make a difference. As our former Minister of Education, Mr. Ki Hajar Dewantoro said, "Ingar sosung tulodo," being a leading example. I had to set the stage for my peers. I started arriving in weekly meetings half an hour early, set fines for those who were late. And when I became the student body president, I doubled down by emphasizing that these actions are mandatory for everyone. At first, a lot of my peers complained about these strict rules. Even my fellow coordinators thought it was too harsh. Some barely talked to me anymore. There were nights when I asked myself, am I building a team or pushing everyone away? But leadership isn't tested when you're popular. It's tested when you're backed up against the wall and have to make the decisions that could alter your trajectory. For months, a cold question grew in my head. Was this worth losing the people I cared about? Fast forward 6 months later, our student body was awarded the most progressive student body of 2025 in our faculty. Not because we were comfortable, but because we finally held ourselves accountable. That's the moment I learned that discipline feels like cruelty until it works. Ambitions without the courage to act are just fantasies. If you can't be a proper example of tough love that inspires your team, that's just as that. Mere dreams. As a leader, your responsibility is not to maintain comfort, but to raise standards for the people who will carry the work forward. I later realized that this struggle wasn't unique to student organizations. When Satya took over Microsoft, he didn't start with innovation, but with honesty. He challenged the company's know-it-all culture and replaced it with a learning culture, even when it was uncomfortable. His courage to speak up and set new standards saved Microsoft from the brink of stagnation. A leader's courage to not turn the blind eye against problems and actually guide his team is exactly the kind of leader we all need. Remember a moment in your life when you stayed silent when something was wrong? A moment where you could have done something but chose not to. Telling yourself, it's not my place, it's part of the culture. Because of that, something was lost. An injustice left unchallenged. A voice unheard. And a chance to lead abandoned. I began my journey as a leader who stayed silent and lost the people I cared about. Choosing tough love didn't just change my organization. It changed who I am. So the next time you see something wrong, don't stay silent and call harmony. Speak up even when your voice shakes. Because leadership isn't tested when you're popular. It's tested when you're willing to be disliked for doing what's right. My name is Fendy Octavianto. Thank you.